Okay, so and just X out of that and it'll bring you back to the picture that we're all seeing. Are you still
Okay.
getting any feedback?
No.
That's the reason, because it's open in the back. So everybody, I'm sorry, everybody, but it's open in the background. So it's like feedback from the background, like as if somebody had like a phone next to their computer. So you got to X out of that window, even though it's still running, you just X out of it.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.
I'll just mute. I'll just mute and I'll just stop my video, and I'm here. Just scream out if you need me for anything.
Okay, I think we should be good, Sharon.
Okay,
All right.
that's fine.
So
No
far,
problem.
Thank
No
you.
problem at all.
All right.
All right. All right. And
All right.
there's Joe. Okay. All right. So are we all set, Mary?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no. Hey, we got nowhere to go. So- Good evening, everyone. I'm Rod Moore, acting chair. This is the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for February 11th, 2021. I will read the legal notice, which is applications to be heard by the Zoning Board of Appeals at public hearings and a web-based meeting hosted on Zoom. This agenda was posted and included instruction to access the Zoom meeting. If anyone's not on, it's on the agenda. Public hearings. Pursuant to Executive Order number 71, Section 19C, notice is hereby given that items number 20-34, 21-02, and 21-03 will be heard. Do we have a motion to hear those hearings?
I'm
sorry? Peter, you're making a motion?
Yeah, I'm just looking for the.
Yeah, 20-34, 21-02, and 21-03.
Make a motion to open 20-34 One Paydena Road, Interstate Sign Crafters, agent for Wells Fargo. CL-10 zone. Allow freestanding sign height from 20 feet to 25 feet and allow proposed sign to be placed 135 feet from existing shopping center pole sign.
And then also the other two. You just read the numbers. That's all we need.
Okay, 21-02
Okay.
and also 21-03.
Okay, Peter made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Juan seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, before we get into the public hearings, just want to mention that because this is a Zoom meeting, it's a little more challenging to identify all the parties that may be speaking tonight. So please, anyone who is going to speak, just clearly identify yourself. And if we're not sure, Mary up there, our secretary, will interrupt you to make sure we have your name in the record. As the public hearings go, there is now a 5-person board. In order for an application to be approved, or a motion for an application for approval to be approved, it takes 4 votes in the affirmative. So there could be 1 in the negative if it comes down to that. With that said, I'll begin running down our agenda. And I also want to say that tonight, for the record, we have Peter DeLucia, who is alternate sitting in for Chairman Jowdy. We have Michael Sibbett. We have Juan Rivas. We have Joseph Hanna and myself, Rod Moore. First order of business before we get to the hearings themselves, the acceptance of the minutes from January 14th, 2021. They were, of course, available online. So hoping you've all had a chance to have a look at those. But we are looking for a motion to approve the minutes because everyone that was there is here. So we have more than enough to approve it. So everyone that was there can approve it. Is there a motion to approve those minutes of 1/14/2021?
I make a motion to approve the meetings of 1/14/2021
Juan makes a motion, second.
Second.
Peter seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Let the record show that that was unanimous. Okay, public hearing 20-14, One Padenham Road. I don't see anyone here from them. Do you, Mary?
I do not.
All right.
The applicant was aware of the meeting. She does live in a different time zone. Maybe that's part of the problem. But maybe we could go to 2102.
Okay, we'll hold that and hopefully they'll be here.
I hope so.
Application 21-02. Douglas Bedard, 7 Shady Knolls. Reduce minimum front yard setback from 30 to 0.03 feet to roof overhang. Reduce minimum side yard setback from 15 to 1 foot to roof overhang, and reduce minimum yard rears from 35 to 25 feet to roof overhang, and increase the building coverage from 20 to 46.6%. Anyone here to speak on behalf of Mr. Bernard or Mr. Bedard himself, or anyone here on to speak on behalf?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Neil Marcus, Kona Wolf, PC,
Okay.
158 Deer Hill Avenue, and thankfully I'm in the same time zone. Not here on
Okay.
time. But I got Doug Bedard is on the screen now, and he'll chime in as well when to fill in on some of the background. This is a property that is actually an old summer cottage of sorts. That, as you can see from the application, it's an 800 square foot cottage, and the proposal is to basically knock it down and remodel it to the point that it'll be a 2,000 square foot year-round structure that could become a permanent home for the Bedards. And it's still a modest home, though, even at a 2,000 square foot residence. It's a 2-bedroom, and what he's done is increase some of the common living space. The variance is really described best in the hardship, and if you refer to that in the application, the hardship stems from the fact that it's a non-conforming lot. It's a 4,032 square foot lot in a 20,000 square foot zone. So we're in a half-acre zone, and this entire neighborhood along the lake is all pretty much non-conforming. But that's as a result of the fact that most of these lots completely pre-exist zoning, and certainly pre-exist half-acre zoning. The dimensional requirements therefore don't work for the existing house and garage, or for the proposed new structure. And the two buildings that are there are seriously functionally obsolete. They're way beyond their useful lives. So we base a hardship on the fact that you have a unique shape and size of the house. If you look at the map, which I have here, but hopefully
All right.
you won't have in front of you.
Yeah, could I just have you pause for a second, Mr. Marcus? Mary, can you allow the screen sharing?
Yes, just a moment.
I'll bring some of these things up if that helps, like the map and so on.
That might, you might want to throw that up because
All right.
Just a moment, Rod.
Okay. Now it looks like we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Here we are. Okay, there we are.
okay, excellent. Yeah, okay. So the map is, if we can scroll that map down a little bit just to look at the lakefront, or actually, yeah, that's even better. So you'll see the heavy dotted line at the top of your screen is in fact the 440 contour line, which is the deeded lot from the shores of Lake Candlewood. So 440 establishes the northerly property line. And when I say it's an odd shape, you can see that it comes in circles back out. And that creates one of the problems. We have a very, we don't have a deep lot at all. I mean, it's very thin from the front yard to the backyard. There's no depth to the lot. Now, interestingly enough, if you are on the property and you see all these stone walls in the back, which basically lead up to the waters of the lake, you would think that this lot is much bigger than it really is, because there's a great deal of property that, again, under the shoreline management plan of FERC, of First Light, the property owners use that as a backyard. But for purposes of our application this evening, we're requesting the variances based upon the deeded title. So, as I say, the perception of the lot, if you're actually standing on it, makes it appear to be a lot bigger. But the unique size and shape of the lot create all the variances that we're looking for this evening. So the purpose of granting a variance in many respects is to make properties more conforming. And in this case, the lot will become more conforming with the variances than what exists there now. You can see on the screen a lightly shaded area that says existing dwelling to be removed. Well, that dwelling is more non-conforming than the dwelling that we're proposing to build. A, because it's closer to the rear line, and it protrudes back towards the waters of Lake Candlewood. So we're going to accomplish two things if the variance is granted and we can move forward with the project. One, we're going to put in a code compliant septic system. As you know, some of the septic systems from years ago, and we use the word loosely because some of the systems, the subterranean sewage, are really not even septics to begin with. A lot of them are dry wells with virtually no recognized fields. Whatever exists on this property today is non-compliant. We know that. What we're going to do is put in, as I say, a small system, because it's only a 2-bedroom house, but it will be code compliant, and that's making the property more, making it less non-compliant and more in line with the requirements of both zoning and building and health. The other thing, of course, is we're going to move the footprint of the structure away from the waters of Lake Candlewood. We show that the overhang is going to be at 25 feet. The actual building will be at 27 feet, but that's an 11-foot shift towards the upland of the property away from the shores of the lake. We've given you a second sheet. I'm going to get to an issue involving the existing garage, but we're giving you a second sheet outlining the exact variances that we need. And interestingly enough, a lot of these, it sounds like a lot of variances, but in reality, all of those variances would apply for the most part to the existing structure that we're taking down. So if you'll see on here, there's something called existing garage. And that building actually has a substantial stone foundation. And it's not a building that is easily moved. And it encroaches onto the northwest passway by approximately 2 feet in one point. You can see there's a pie-shaped portion of the existing garage that actually goes off onto the northwest passway. In discussions with Sean Harity and directly with Doug Bedard, there was some concern that if we attached the existing garage to the proposed dwelling, we might be increasing the nonconformity by making the house itself extend over the property line on the south side. And there's no intention of doing that. The intention is to just build around the garage. And in fact, you'll see a white space on the drawing. That, in fact, is two separate walls. The wall of the existing garage will stay, and the wall of the new structure will be behind it and next to it on two facades. And the reason for that is we don't want to create an issue that whether or not it's a serious issue or not, we don't want to create it. So rather than even discuss whether the garage should just be attached, it works out to leave it as a existing detached garage. So the nonconformity of that structure will be the same prior to and after construction, where again, the structure is obviously set back only about 1.8 feet from the side yard on the westerly side, and it, on the southerly side, it's over the line. Now, interestingly enough, Doug and I have discussed whether he can actually take title to the Northwest Passway. And the Northwest Passway does not serve anybody's property other than his. So the fact that he has maintained the Northwest Passway as part of this property, and to our knowledge, his title, the predecessor in title, who owned the property before him, has also done that. There's a good probability that if he wanted to try to quiet title by adverse possession, 15 years of open, notorious, and exclusive use of that property, he could probably do that. And quite honestly, I may press him and recommend that he do that. It's not an inexpensive process because you have to file an action in the Superior Court. You have to spend a lot of time determining anybody who might have had an interest in the Northwest Passway, and it appears that it's a pretty lost title. And so it's a lot of legal work, a little bit of surveying, and I'm not sure whether he's disposed to spend the money, but at some point I'm going to make a strong pitch that he do it, because it would just make his entire property a better site. But at the moment, we are respecting the fact that we have an encroachment over our deeded property line, and we're going to keep the two structures separate so that we have a pre-existing non-conforming house that we're removing and replacing with another non-conforming house, and a pre-existing non-conforming garage that remains untouched, exactly the same. So that's the application. I think we attached to the application some pictures of both the garage and that existing house, and it's a very modest site in many respects, but it has a lot of charm, and it certainly has the value of the lakefront, which is the attractive, one of the attractions to make this a year-round residence. We've notified the adjoining neighbors, and we've spoken to the adjoining neighbors, and Doug will chime in if there's any question on his conversations. But we believe that there's support in the neighborhood for the project, and it makes sense because when you live in some of these older lakefront neighborhoods, and people are willing to spend money to upgrade, it's to the benefit of everybody, because the last thing you want to do is have an older, obsolete dwelling in the neighborhood or in the company of some really nice houses that people have spent money to rehab and improve over the years. That's what we're doing here. We're rehabbing, we're improving, and we're going to create a year-round home. So that's the proposal. I'm happy to answer any questions or ask Doug if he wants to add anything at this point.
All right, I have some questions, and
Go ahead.
we'll certainly let the other guys ask too. The Northwest Passway is currently used, right? It's a loop that comes around from Shady Knolls and comes back out.
Hi, it's Doug Bedard. Nice to meet you all. If you see in the pictures attached, you'll see the actual passway. I think in the 60s, moved to the east of that diagram. So in the pictures, you'll see the road actually comes down. I'm sorry, to the west of the garage. So the access way is a paved road now. In front of my garage, which is depicted in the map, is just gravel. So at some point in the 60s, the actual passageway or the road was paved to the west of the property. So if you see the picture on the top left here, you see the pavement and that two large oak trees. That is not depicted. That's where people access, so they don't go in front of my garages. And the other picture you see further down, if you slide to the last picture on this, you'll see that it's basically a dead end. It goes down a pretty good slope, about a 15 to 20 foot slope there. And that's where the walkway goes down and how I get to the cottage today.
Okay. Bring that back up again. Just bear with me 1 second.
So to elaborate on that, Rod, essentially the Northwest Passway is really just the parking area in front of Doug's garage.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right.
So the oak tree would be that we saw with the pave would be to the west of this. So it would be on the southwest corner of the garage is where the oak tree is, right on the Northwest Passway.
Okay.
And the paved circle goes around there. I had maps of that I can include.
All right.
And that was done, I believe, in the 60s. So from the maps I found.
Well, I have some questions on hardship, but also I will say this. The one thing going for this is that the non-conforming would be less non-conforming than where that current kind of very shaded, almost totally grayed out existing line is, which is good. I'm concerned about this this encroachment, this onto Northwest Passway as far as title goes. But from what I see here, this garage will continue to exist as a garage. It is now continuing to be a detached garage at this point. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Garages are at a premium on Candlewood Lake. So I would not want to change that.
All right. 2 bedrooms, 2,000 square feet. Is that a single story or 2-story?
We're going to try to do 2 stories based on the building code.
Do you have any idea? Well, I guess we could do the math, but roughly the square footage of the footprint?
I think it's close to 1,000, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, my concern is a couple of things. We're still looking at some very extreme variances. I mean, our commission is to grant relief of zoning regulations when it's appropriate because of hardships and other reasons, but the hardship is the primary reason. And grant reasonable use, but then at the same time, make them as less non-conforming as we can possibly do. And we've got 2 corners there. One is 1/3 of a foot, 0.3 feet for a front yard and 1 foot for a side yard. And then the whole coverage is 46.6 to me is very aggressive. Okay. It's a lot for that lot. I mean, I have some concerns about all of those things. And again, you may want to restate the hardship at some point during the conversation as well. Anyone else with questions or concerns from the board?
I have questions in regards to the septic tank. One of the questions I have, the print that was submitted has preliminary progress print. Is this bound to change? And in addition to that, I see that I would like to know or have someone elaborate in more detail as where is this leaching field and tank going to be located into relation of the property, because over here it looks like it's right on the back border of that dotted line that was shown earlier. Also, I have a question. It says here on the print that it's being proposed a 4-bedroom leaching system. When the house is only going to be 2-bedroom, is there a need, or why is the reasoning for the 4-bedroom leaching field?
That is a surprise to me. I thought this was, where are you seeing that on the, because it was told to me that it was a 2-bedroom, because that's about as much as I can fit, which is
Towards the top
Wanted-
right, there's a description there on the top right near the vicinity sketch.
Proposed leaching box. I'm looking, Juan. I'll bring it up here. I'm looking at it. Let's see. I'm surveying
Let's take a
notes.
look
Okay.
at
You're talking about the separate one. That's the proposed septic system,
Yeah.
right?
correct.
Yes,
Correct.
All right. Let's see here.
There's a line that points down to the SB1-26. If you follow that up, it says their proposed 4-bedroom leaching system.
Top of fill limit approximate. See, I'm in a box that says proposed leaching box. Remove. You're talking a box on the top right of this.
Not a box. It's just more of a description with an arrow pointing down to the smaller
okay.
box.
About an inch below the vicinity sketch, you'll
Yeah,
see
about
what
an inch,
Juan's
yes.
talking about.
Where's our
Versus-
vicinity sketch?
About an inch down, you'll see it. It's like a long text.
You got great eyes.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't read that, but it was told to me verbally that it's only a 2-bedroom.
I actually,
But,
I think that's a typographical error on that map. I think that verbiage was in the engineer's system. That, almost every system today is a 4-bedroom system. I don't think he changed his verbiage, because what he's designed there is only a 2-bedroom system. It's
I
not
understand.
Big, that is a
understand.
2-bedroom.
Now, in relation to where the leaching field and the tanks are going, is it going to be closer to that dotted line in the back of the near the lakefront? Because what it's showing here, that's what it is demonstrating. So I just want to make sure that that is the case, or that isn't the case.
So it does not go into the 440, so it does not go over the 440 line.
Okay.
That is basically the reason why the cottage has to be moved back. And that's really the hardship there, is that if I want to put in a true septic system and make it a 2-bedroom, I had to not encroach on the 440. And all those setbacks were done by Gallagher. And this is, according to him, the code of how far it had to be pushed back. And then the house had to be pushed back because of that, because I believe there was a setback of at least 10 feet from the leach fields.
I have a question here, unless I had finished.
One question to Mr. Marcus. If that is a verbiage error on the engineer, can that be corrected and rectified before any of this continues?
Yeah, clearly we'll clear it up, and you can hopefully make as a condition that the septic system will only be a 2-bedroom system, because that's all we're asking for.
No,
Yeah.
it's understandable. I just wanted to make sure that can be
yeah,
taken care of.
Proposed 4-bedroom leaching system area consisting of 1 row leach to a total of 25 for 5. Yeah, 574 square feet is that's a 2-bedroom. That's way too small for a 4-bedroom.
Okay.
As I said, I think it's really a typo. We'll get it fixed, but we'll certainly make that a condition.
All right. I have no further questions. Thank you.
I have a question. The existing house is about 800 square feet, correct?
Yes, that's according to the tax records assessment.
When you increase in the size to 2,000 square feet,
Mm-hmm.
and the existing structure now, it's 2-bedroom, correct?
Yes.
And what are you gonna do with that 1,500 square feet? Where's that going? I would like to see a detailed plan, how the house inside, what these numbers, there is a trick here. They play with the septic design that I know of. They call it in the beginning 2-bedroom, and then one lifetime edition, they make it 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom. Yeah, this is way overkill to go from 800 square feet. We like to help, but it's too much of an addition on very small lot, and it's non-conforming. Is there a way you can play it down, or at least move the garage back from the other way, from the past way, so it will be a better for you to get the whatever, the deed or the title or whatever?
Joe, let me try that for a second. Moving the garage because it's on a stone foundation is just, that's tough to do.
It's okay, make a new building, so it doesn't matter. So you make foundation every day, you knock them down. This way you have a brand new home, nice building, and you at least you improve the setback line, and we don't have a problem work with you on other thing. So you got a lot of things. Number one, you're increasing the size by 1.5 times. And that doesn't make any sense. That septic designed for 2-bedroom, but that house is gonna be 4-bedroom after it's done. I know that for sure. But, you know, and then the garage right on a passway, it's too much. You gotta do something to make it a little bit more, you know, building a new home. I would never want to be with my garage on the street. I would fix it.
So you would like us to, I mean, one way we could do it is we could leave the garage, but renovate the garage to change the front line, move it back onto the property, or at least take it off, get rid of the encroachment. That we could do. I mean, and for that we don't need a variance because we'd be moving it back in more conforming. That would require some renovation of that existing garage. That would be a possibility. But and again, I'm going to let Doug tell me if I'm talking out of order here. But I think that if that's a hang up, we could agree that the garage will be renovated so that it doesn't go over the front property line. But the other question is the size of the structure. I mean, a 2,000 square foot house is still a fairly modest house. I mean,
it's very modest house, but it's too big for that lot, especially on the lake, isn't it?
Well, actually,
if you got 2-bedroom now, and you're increasing it by 1,200 square feet, and you're still 2-bedroom.
Well, hang on, before we answer that question, Doug, can you tell us the current 800 square foot cottage, is that 1 or 2 stories?
It is officially 2 stories, but it's really the downstairs is only half because it's built into the slope. So the downstairs is just a kitchen that is 20 by 10. And the upstairs comes across the bedrooms, the 2 bedrooms. Each bedroom is approximately 8 by 10, both of those. So they really, they fit, person or a couple. And so the cottage now is really, we just use it in the summer for weekends, et cetera. It's really not, functional in, in a 12-month scenario. It's very good in the summer, being on the lake. So it's really, so the 1,000 square foot footprint, with lots of open space, et cetera. So I don't, it's just going to be at this point, myself and my wife. So there's not going to be, a young family, living there. So I have no plans to put in additional bedrooms or anything like that. Now, the other question I have is, by moving the garage back, how does that help the size of the structure? By taking the garage out, that would give me more square footage of house.
No, Doug, I that maybe you understand. The issue is not to remove the garage, but to remove the encroachment.
The encroachment,
to
right?
the northwest passageway, which
Right.
would mean that you'd have to do some renovation of the garage, the front facade of the garage itself.
Right,
Um,
right. Which would be difficult and
Difficult,
it's-
but
yeah.
if it were significant, I think we could accomplish that.
Mhm.
But to Joe's point, Joe, the problem is when you say this seems like too big a footprint, 1,000 square foot of house on a 4,000 square. I mean, you're right. I mean, we got a 4,000 square foot lot, and the house itself is going to be 25% of it. However, that's where I started out. If you were to go up there today and look at the lot, and again, if Rod would scroll down on this map, there is an enormous amount of this. No, the other way. I'm sorry. There's an enormous amount of this lot that is below the 440. Now, technically, it's not ours, but quite honestly, it's exclusively used by the Bedards. I mean, the other neighbors don't use this back area. So almost, Doug, tell me how much land lies from that dotted 440 back to the waters of the lake? Is that another 4,000 square feet?
I wouldn't say, I would say at least 2,000. There's a shed down there between those two walls that you see depicted as a patio and a fireplace. Those 2 lines coming out where the wall goes across, that's the dock. And then to the right is all lawn area.
So,
On the
Joe,
picture.
is it say
So you know what, if you include the right-hand section, yeah, it's about another 4,000. Yeah, it's about double. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got to ask you for a variance based on the 440 contour line. But in
Yes.
reality, since time immemorial, since this house has been occupied, and going forward, it's really, what we're looking at is only really half the premises. The premises being what's owned in fee title, but what's also occupied because of the shoreline management plan allows us to do that under the, meeting the requirements of First Light. So I got to agree with you, Joe, that you're the point that this is a lot of density on 4,000 square feet. I won't dispute that. But to me, what we're really doing is we're using a site that is almost twice the size of what the zoning lot is. So that's our dilemma here. And to the extent that Doug really wants to build a year-round house that he's going to live in, I don't think he's overreaching at 2,000 square feet. And the fact that the footprint's 1,000, I think should satisfy your concern. The other thing, of course, if the neighbors or First Light felt that that the request was too dense, I think we would have heard from them. And we, to the contrary, people who've seen the plan in the neighborhood actually all think it's a really good looking structure. But clearly there's no intention to do 4 bedrooms because in reality, you can't. You don't have the septic. It's just not there.
Listen, I built houses myself. Okay, I
Yeah.
know. 1,500 square feet, I can give you a nice townhouse, 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath, big living room, kitchen, and dining area. I'm in the construction. I understand it.
Yeah.
Why what you're gonna do is that 1,000 square feet in the first floor? You need a kitchen, a bathroom, a living room, dining area. But what sizes they are? This is way overkill, that addition to that property. We don't have a problem to help you out, but both sides, in the front, in the back, you need a easement. You need help all the way around setback. So,
Yeah.
is there any way you can work these numbers a little bit different? Because what are you gonna do with 1,000 square feet in each floor? Can you explain for me what number of rooms you're gonna have? Upstairs, 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, right? What size these bedrooms gonna be?
Well, there's also there's also plans for an office, et cetera, on that bump out. But the other point is that some of the space also may include the actual decks, right? The open rooms, the open spaces, right, that come out. And I'm not sure if that's included in the square footage of a house.
Or
So
to
the bump
footprint,
out
yeah.
to the left, right, maybe a deck, a covered deck, et cetera. That I'm not sure if that would be included, an outdoor dining space, that type of thing that's covered. We haven't got that far because we were just looking at what the footprint could be, the actual square footage of the house. We could work with it if that's the issue of what the square footage would be. Going up, I'm certainly, could work to say, hey, I'm not going to go up the entire building. I'm just going to go up the back portion and leave the part to the right being just an outside space on the right-hand side of this diagram. And it just goes up 2 stories on the back end for, the office or a bedroom, et cetera.
Well, I don't have a problem for you going up all over the place, but the problem in the first floor, you almost go into the lines on the property, both sides, that's what concern. But second floor, I don't really care if you go with the overhang over there, but you should have some little property around, at least one side.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and the piece.
You don't want to move the garage, fine, but why the other side not move a little bit? Is that the existing house over there?
The existing house, which side you talking about, sir?
Opposite from the garage, on the right-hand side.
Opposite from the garage on the right-hand
That's east
side.
side of the property.
What name could call the name out? The neighbor's name? Is that what you're?
The neighbor Deborah.
Hinden?
Oh, Hinden?
Hidden. Yeah, it's on the east side. He's talking about.
Okay.
Doug.
Yeah, that his house is way up on the hill. And there's this section of land here that buffers us. That's 11 feet. And then his property starts, but his house is way up on the hill. So I attached an email from him supporting this plan, but it doesn't really impact him at all. The encroachment on the Hinden side.
And by the way, Joe, on the map we're looking at, there's a passway that's depicted on an old city map, which is the area that forms an easterly yard. So Hinden can't build in this passway. Bedard can't build in the passway. So you do have this additional area. Again, it's interesting. It's not our lot. It's not deeded to us. It's a passway that is for the benefit of others that's shown on this old town map. 2898 goes back a number of years. But that's an open area that will not be developed. So it's a yard, which helps us. It helps us a lot in terms of properly locating. But your question, Joe, I'm not sure I can answer it tonight. Maybe we'll have to go back to the drawing board in the next 2 weeks and give you the actual site plan, the actual floor plan of the structure. Because as Doug said, the area on the west side where he has a deck, I mean, it's a deck, but it's not going to be living area in the house, but it's part of our 2,000 square foot structure.
I think if you can come back with some
Yeah.
kind of detailed plan and
gonna-
if you can do what you said about the garage, and maybe, I don't know about the other members of the board, but my feeling is way too big, the addition is.
Well,
I have a quick question in regards to the passageway. Would it be more beneficial to get the process with the courts, maybe get this deed or title, and then come back with us where we can work with you guys a little bit better, maybe have more square footage or area to work with? And I don't know how long that process is, but is that something that you're willing to entertain?
Hey, Juan, I just finished the very same process on a property up in Brookfield. And it's without not having anybody on the other side to contest it, just to get it through the court system was a little over a year. So that's an uncontested, quiet title action. If I were lucky, really lucky, I could probably get this resolved in about 8 or 9 months, but it's a year for the most part. And in reality, we would like to move forward on this project soon. Actually, we'd like to have a house up and not wait a year to start the process. That's the problem.
Well, I am not convinced that whatever hardship is there does not rise to the level of this significant a structure.
Okay.
There's got to be a way of peeling back, pulling back the setbacks to a certain extent, dropping down. With the garage, it's 46.6% coverage of that little lot. And Neil, I appreciate your mentioning, of course, that there's all kinds of land that's currently for use that belongs to someone else. It's like saying I live near the national park, so I can build a hotel on my 1 acre lot because that park's right there. You know what I mean? It's not a strong case to be made, even though it looks pretty in the summertime and it's wonderful to be able to use. Maybe someday we'll have an energy crisis and First Light will have to fill it to the 440 line. Who knows? So it's an awful lot for that lot, in my opinion. I don't know, Michael or Peter, do you have any thoughts on this? Then we'll open it up to other public comment.
I have Mike Sibbett. I have a problem with if I were going to build a house, brand new house on a piece of property, I wouldn't want an ancient looking garage in the front of it. I don't understand why you don't tear the garage down, the house down, and build one complete new building that would look a whole lot better. Unless you're going to build an antique looking house, I wouldn't want a garage that looks like the pictures you show with the application. It all looks out of place.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. My thought process was talking to folks that it was better off leaving it to get through the zoning process because it's pre-existing and attaching to it. It doesn't mean that I couldn't redo the siding on it and redo and put in new windows on it, et cetera. It's the foundation, the stone foundation, that was the issue. But
What's
if
the
I,
issue with the stone foundation?
if I didn't go for the complete knockdown of the garage also, but if I knock down the garage, then I would have even more square footage. But I guess the point here being, then I could come in more from the sides then, correct?
Correct.
I could come in more from the east and west,
Well,
less variance, right?
potentially, but I'm sure, as you said, garages are scarce and it would be good to have something there. But even with that existing garage as is, it's a title thing that you probably should clear up. Maybe, Sean, we should get a corporate counsel opinion on this as well, as far as a variance. Now that it's going to remain detached, I guess it's less complicated than it might have been if it had been, built in as part of the new dwelling. But with all that said, as I said before, our goal is to grant relief, but to make it reasonable use. And I got to believe reasonable use is something smaller than what you're proposing. That's just one man's opinion, but
I agree.
Yeah. I think this is a very aggressive request here. I mean, the coverage is almost up to 50%. I like that they're moving back the dwelling from the lake. But this is a very aggressive, variances that you're seeking in a non-conforming property. Certainly, I would be all for trying to help, but I think we need to scale back and come up with go back to the drawing board, as you sort of said.
Gotcha.
Is there any guidance, Neil, on this? Like,
Oh, yeah.
so I'm going from 1 foot to 5 foot or 2 or.
Rod, Doug, between Rod and Joe and Mike so far and Peter, I have a lot of guidance on this, and Juan too as well. I would love to say, okay, guys, tell me today exactly, what our coverage can be and whatever, but they're not going to do that. And quite honestly, they shouldn't. But the comments that we've just received, I found pretty helpful, and I'm going to help interpret them for you and come up with a plan. So we haven't heard from the public yet, pros and cons, but when the hearing is ready to wrap up, I'm going to ask for continuance for 30 days to see if we can scale it down.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
okay. So I will ask any others here to speak in favor of this application. Anyone here in opposition of this application? I will read for the record something that Mr. Marcus already mentioned, in that there are copies of 2 email exchanges in the application. One is from Alan Hinden at 256 Great Plain Road, and they have no problem with the variance. And the other one is the other adjoining neighbor, the Driscolls, Maxine Driscoll, saying, I have no objections to the variances that were highlighted in the survey. So that, for the record, is the neighbors that are not opposed or more or less in favor. All right. With
So,
that,
Mr. Chairman,
yeah.
having heard no opposition and being at the point that where you normally close the public hearing, I'm going to ask if you'd continue this public hearing for 30 days to allow us to address the comments from the various commission members, because I think that we can do it. And the reason I'm optimistic is the last 2 items that you just read. The fact that the Hindens, longtime residents, the Driscolls, also longtime residents, as adjoining neighbors, kind of like this. I'm encouraged to think that we can come up with something that will get your support. So give us
All
a reason. We'll remake the world.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. The next meeting, that would be more or less 30 days, would be the meeting second Tuesday of March, which is March 11th. So I guess that's the target date, right?
That would be good. That gives us a sufficient amount of time to do some drafting and submit in advance, so you guys can look at it.
All right, the applicant has asked for a continuance to that date. Is there a motion to continue this and close this public hearing?
I make a motion for the continuance of 30 days.
Okay,
I second.
and Joe, you seconded?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll see
Thank
you
you.
again.
And for the record, I'd like to state that as enjoyable as it is to do this on Zoom, I like these meetings a lot better when I see you in person.
Yeah,
And I get used to the fact that Dick Chowdy's not here tonight.
I know, you know.
It was
Believe
the
me.
warmer weather, maybe better.
Believe me, I am tempted to go over there and trying to get him to try and use a computer myself so he can do these things, but he's, you know, it's not happening.
He's more hopeless than I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Chairman,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman,
Excuse me for
Thank
the
you.
record, Mr. Chairman, Rod Hay, it's Sharon.
Yes,
I'm in the
Yes.
background, kind of
Yes, sir.
listening. I'm
Yes.
just to be clear for the record, so you did not close the public.
Well, that is true.
Continue.
Yes, I asked to, but it didn't. Yes, is there a motion to close?
No, don't close. You don't
Don't
want to
close.
close the public hearing.
Yes, that's right. We don't. Yes.
Just
Okay.
continue the public hearing.
It's
That's
continued.
what we
Yes.
did.
Yeah, we did
Yes,
do that.
Okay,
yes.
that's what I know,
Yeah,
but I'm just making clear.
Yes.
Thank you.
Clarity
Thank you.
is good. Thank you. Yep. Okay.
Thank you all, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
All right.
And Mary, of course.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't see One Payden Elm Road. Do you, Mary?
No, I will tell you that I reached out via my personal email just to see if I could make some contact, but nothing so far. And it's 8 o'clock, so can we just wait till the very end and
Sure.
then,
Yeah,
thank you.
we'll put on the coffee pot. All right.
Right, thanks.
2103, Michelle Leisure and Brian Grubb. This is 189 Long Ridge Road, minimum yard side setback to be changed from 40 feet to 31 and a half feet. Anyone here to speak for them or them?
Yeah, hi. Kevin Descharnay. I'm the designer on the project, working with the owner.
Okay.
And is there a way to pull up the site plan that? I submitted?
Yes. Bear with me 1 second. I hope so.
Okay.
They are. Well, here's a blow up of it. If you need more, I can scroll out here, but hold on here.
No, we don't. I don't think we need to scroll all the way up, but
Okay. Where did you go? Here we are. Okay. Is that enough of it, or do you need more?
no, I think.
Okay.
Well, I think actually, if you could just scroll out to see the whole property quick and then zoom back in, that'd be great.
Let's see. Okay, let's see what we can do here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
There we go.
So, the main reason we're here, obviously, is that the original house was built very, very close to the road and completely in the front yard setback. This property was granted a front yard reduction back some years ago to the previous owner to 8.8 feet because they were adding a little covered porch to the side of the driveway there on the left, and also some mudroom area. And at that point, it's in the deed, the front yard setback was permanently reduced. So I actually brought up the question to us, did we even have to come for a variance because this entire thing is in the front yard setback? But we figured to do it correctly and safe, we would come to you to reduce the side yard setback for the addition we're proposing out of the back of the house. This addition is a sunroom that faces the entire back of the house and the property, which is something we would like to take advantage of with this addition.
All right.
So one thing before we get into it also is that we could have, before it gets asked, to slide this addition over the 8 feet or whatever, so that we're out of the side yard setback, really affects the way the first floor of the main house floor plan works. Because what happens is this room is accessed by a set of French doors that are existing and only blocks 2 insignificant windows, and also helps the rear elevation of the house dramatically. If we slide it over, it's going to be forcing us to renovate the whole first floor. Yeah, that's great. Yep. And also blocks all the view from the kitchen. So if you can see
There
right,
you are. Yeah,
up
right there. Yeah.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the elevations of the rear.
All right. Yep. All right. And if let me flip back here to the
Sure.
map.
No, I mean, this is okay. If you want to scroll out a second, we can also look at the floor plan on this page.
Okay. All right. Let's see.
Yeah, you see now in this floor plan, it shows what the interior spaces are currently used for, and the only doors to the rear of this property are from that study. So we pushed it over as far as we can to utilize the existing doors, and also there's some significant stone landscape steps which are right there off this to the right, which would stay in that location. If we push this thing over further, then we have to mess with some beautiful. I mean, those have been here for a long time, and they're single stone steps. We'd hate to have to mess with that. So we're going no closer to the neighbor's property than the existing house. We're some 13 feet off the corner of the existing house where this addition begins.
Hold on here. Let me get reoriented here. Okay. Okay, so let me bring up on this. Well, let me not get ahead of you, but
this is good.
Okay, let me bring that up a little closer again, because there's something that's quite noticeable here, and that's this. Okay, let's see if we can't get this. Yeah, all right. The house itself is already here and here as
Correct.
far as 17 feet, right?
Correct.
So what's happening is you're well within side where this side of the house is already, as far as the variance going from 40 to 31 and a half feet to here.
Correct.
Okay. And I don't want to make the case for you, but I noticed that right away. So
no, that's the case I was trying to make. So
okay. All right. And as far as hardship, you have it written here. You want to just expand on that a little bit? I think you kind of did, as far as.
Yeah, I mean, the hardship for us really is if we slide this thing over the extra 8 feet, it just absolutely kills the views and the flow of the first floor without having to substantially remodel it. And also it would then be pushed into those landscape steps, and that's also something is quite old, and there's a lot of history to this house. So we'd like to leave as much alone as we can, and this rear elevation is probably the weakest looking elevation of the three sides of the house, and we felt this addition really helped accentuate and improve that elevation.
Okay. Any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay, no questions.
I looked at the house. It's 1700. I guess one of the few houses that the British didn't burn down when they marched through Danbury. A lot of character. So I can understand you not wanting to, do some extensive remodeling to, such an old home that you don't have to do.
Correct, and that was written in the application. That is the real hardship. I don't want to have to gut a beautiful old house to just accommodate this addition when we're not going no closer to the neighbor than the existing house.
All right. All right. Any other questions or comments from the board? Anyone else here tonight that hasn't spoken up yet in favor of this application? Anyone here opposed to this application? All right, if there's no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to close this hearing.
I make a motion to close 21-03, Leisure, Michelle and Grubb, Ryan, 189 Long Ridge Road, RA 80 zone. Reduce minimum yard setback from 40 to 31 and a half feet.
Second.
Second by motion by Peter, seconded by Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, let the record show that that was unanimous. Is there a motion to go in the voting session? And in this case, the voting session will only be regarding 21-03.
I make a motion to go into voting session. The
Second.
voting session.
Okay, one motion, second by Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, historic old home, lovely place if you've driven by it. But that's irrelevant. Is there anybody who wants to make any further comment or make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve application 21-03.
All right.
I
you wanna-
second.
Okay, well, could we just expand on that one and
Okay.
just read the whole, what
I'm
the
sorry.
application is into the
Okay,
record?
I'm sorry. Yep, okay.
And explain why you like it.
Okay. I make a motion to approve application 21-03. Laser, Michelle and Grubb Brian, 189 Long Ridge Road, RA 80 zone, section 4A3, reduce minimum side yard setback from 40% to 40 feet to 31.5 feet.
Per plan submitted.
Per plan submitted. I have no issues with what's being submitted. Clearly they demonstrate that they're still, they're not at the edge of the house like the plan is showing, and they have sufficient space. I have no problems with that.
All right, Juan, thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Joe is just a little faster. Joe seconded.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Let the record show that the vote was unanimous in favor of approving this application. So the board will be sending out a letter to you after the 15-day waiting period, so it can be finalized from there.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
That's great.
right.
Thank you.
Mary,
Motion to
And
adjourn.
Mary.
yeah, but you look like you want to say something, Mary.
I do. Excuse me, Mr. Moore. What shall be done about the first application? Should that be tabled till the next time?
We can. What's the clock on this? Where are we with that?
Well,
Do you know?
they had some difficulties completing the application properly.
Yeah.
The survey really held it up for a long time. So there's still, if we take it from the time that we received the survey and completed the application, we still have plenty of time.
Okay. So let's reach out to them and hopefully we'll get it on the agenda for the February 25th meeting.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Do you
All
want,
right.
do you want to make a motion to continue that?
Sure. Why not? Is there a motion to continue that and hopefully hear that at the February 25th meeting?
I make a motion to continue 20-34, 1 Page Narrum Road for the March 15th meeting.
February.
February. Hopefully they'll be ready in 2 weeks. So,
Okay.
all right, February 25th. All right. Second.
Good.
I'll second that.
Okay, 1 second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. According to the agenda, all in favor? Aye. Motion approved. Old business, none. New business, none. Correspondence, none. Other matters, none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, Juan, you did that good. Michael seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Have a
Thank you,
good night,
Sean,
everyone.
Mary, and Sharon. Take care.
Thank you, Rod and Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
All right. Good seeing you again, Mr. V.
Take care, Peter. Good to see you.
Take care, everybody.